mean, their logic, after Proclamation 2039 and after the Congressional of March 9th, 1933, the logic of the laws they passed was phenomenal. That's when they started passing, HJR 192.
I'm on TikTok and I'm recording.
To set everything up to work as it is. And the problem is we're not reading the records to see how it applies. We just think it applies to us because we see something that looks like our name. It's no different than Microsoft Incorporated. Is Microsoft its first name and Incorporated its last name? No, it's a business. It's a trust. It has trustees. And I sit down. My dad actually paid two $500 hour.
I hate that I'm not getting.
And said, I read that all important sentence. It says, this card is property of Social Security Administration and must be returned if we ask for it. Right? And I looked at the attorney and I said, how can that be my name if I don't own it? And he said, I see your problem. I see what you're saying. See, that when it says this card, is it the piece of paper or is it the name in the account? It's not the piece of paper, it's the name in the account. Because the paper wouldn't exist without the name in the account.
So I had a question for you.
Hold on one second. Let's see, you said what now? Heating and ventilation and air conditioning?
Oh my God. This guy is always doing so many things while he's on a chat thing. It's so funny. He's a truck driver. He's getting his truck done.
Do with that high pressure switch with
it. Oh my gosh. Wow. And you're on like a call, man. Put your other stuff away.
Earlier when
that's the bad thing about some of these calls, man. Sometimes you're hearing people going to the bathroom. It's terrible. Like, come on, put yourself on mute. Let somebody else talk if that's what you're going to be doing. I don't want to hear that.
It automatically flowed hot air, and I had to turn it off.
Oh my goodness, this is the kind of stuff I can't stand.
If you go to my files if you get into my discussion group, are you in?
What? Rumble, Pastor of the Way. That's A-lib.
Section. Just search for Art of Passing the Buck.
He said is
of passing the
Telegram. You should be able to see the links.
If you're in my Telegram on the main page and you only see 3, if you tap on the name at the top, you should see a discussion bubble. And under that discussion bubble, that gets you applied to the chat group. I'll go in and approve you after that. And then once you approve you, then you can go through the files section in the chat group where they're at.
So Pastor of the Way on Telegram?
Yeah.
I can't do it on this computer.
Is that what that is?
Oh man.
It's above 3/8. But I can't do it right here. I need to pull out.
Oh my God.
As soon as he's done.
I literally can't deal.
We'll go check and see.
I cannot deal with hearing his conversation. Oh my God. It's terrible.
Yeah, both volumes are in. It's in the file section.
Shit.
Yeah, Malibu Dallas. He's been in there looking at the files I've been sharing with him too.
Yeah, I ended up joining some W4 sandwich page from there.
Ooh.
It's like
I have a problem with the W4. I'm not saying it's not.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Like, what is that all? I haven't really gone over it yet.
Huh? We can see if it'll do it on its own. But I'm gonna have to shut the door no matter what. Unless the W4, the theory behind it, I like the theory because it goes back to what I've been saying. Okay, as in you're the agents. Okay, there's under the law of agency, you have two agents. You have an express agency and an implied agency. Okay, an express agency requires an oral or written agreement. Well, guess what? The principal never came to you and said, "Hey, are you doing blah blah blah?" Right?
Oh my goodness.
But the implied agent actually doesn't require it's based on deductions and inferences of the facts of the case, words and actions. Okay. So what that means is, now think about it. You got a personal checking account, right? Mm-hmm. What's it say on the signature line? Authorized representative. But nobody ever asked the question, authorized representative of what? No, it won't do it. Yeah. Try it, because got to get this light off. The other thing is the back of the socialist says it's theirs. Vital records says the birth record is theirs. So if it's all the state's property, what is the relationship to that property? Okay. So what this goes back to the beneficiary? Where's your that you're the beneficiary?
Mm.
They called the Social Security office, the 800 number. And he said, am I the beneficiary? I said, yes, you are. He said, would you send me that in writing? Oh, no, we can't.
I record all their stuff just like they record ours.
Right. Wow. So I do it every time. He told the main office said you got to go to your local office. So he goes down to the local office.
The
local office, he asked the same question. Am I the beneficiary of this account? Oh, well, yes, you are, but not yet. You haven't reached the proper age. Well, then that raises the next question. If I'm not the beneficiary yet, then who is? See, I did a FOIA request with the SSA, and I asked 3 questions. Who's the grantor? Who's the beneficiaries? And who is the registered agent? And you know, I cannot get them to answer that question.
Yeah, they're not going to.
Sweets, because if they tell you on record that you are the beneficiary, it changes the nature of the game. Look at liability. Liability flows this way. If you're the agent and you don't do your job, you volunteer for liability. If you're the beneficiary and you hold no liability unless the trustees didn't do their job. So that means the beneficiaries can sue the trustee. The registered agent can't. Sweets. If you're in Los Licos Nomos, the main group, tap the name, not the pinned messages, the name. It'll bring a menu up. It'll say either discussion or create discussion. That little discussion bubble. That's how you get to the chat. When you get, and I will have to approve your request when I go on there later. Unless my wife goes in and approves them. Because she's an admin. I've got, what's his name? Said Private Citizen talks about this. Well, who do you think's teaching Private Citizen? That's why he's an admin in my group. So now, the duty of the agent, the sole duty of the agent is to forward all notices, all demands, and all processes to the principal. Okay? Who's the principal? They tell you who the trustees are.
Say that again.
The sole duty of the registered agent is to do what? Forward all notices, all demands, and all processes to the principal. When you get a statement in the mail and there's a coupon attached, what did they just send you? They sent you a notice, the statement, and a demand, the coupon. Go look up a coupon in Black's Law Dictionary. You'll find out it's a demand for payment at some certain time. They sent you a notice and demand.
And notice and demand. That's amazing.
Who would be the principal?
Yeah, it's on the Social Security Administration website.
Okay.
Oh, the principal's on the
Type
social.
in the Google SSA Board of Trustees and look for the word signatories.
Oh,
It'll either say signatories, depending on your browser, or it will say signatories to the trustee reports. And you can see the list of trustees all the way back to 1945.
Interesting.
And I'll explain it since Morris, you wasn't in here earlier.
Okay.
The Secretary of the Treasury is the first trustee. That's the managing trustee. Why? The logic is simple. The bank.
Treasury.
Okay. The second trustee is the Department of Labor.
Oh, Department of
Okay.
Labor.
When you fill out a W-4 for employment, and you put the name and you put the social and you put the address, who's the employee? Is it you or is it the trust?
Trust.
That's right. Because under the 14th Amendment, all corporations, businesses, and trusts are legal person having equal protection under the law. Right?
Right.
The address you put down is for the office of the agent. Now, the third trustee is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Why? Title IV funding. Who gets the Title IV funds of Social Security? The state. If you want to know who the beneficiary is, look where the money's going.
Security? Human Health and Security?
So that means if you're not the grantor and you're not the trustees and you're not getting a distribution, so you're not the beneficiary, that means you're the agent and you're not doing your duty.
Uh-oh.
And everybody's sitting around doing all these magical processes thinking this is how to fix it. No, start doing your duty. Start doing your job.
What is
Health
that?
and Human Services, otherwise CPS, Child Support, Department of Social Services, all those organizations.
So based off what you're saying, our duty would technically be just setting off, right?
Yeah. That's what me and D and Eon was talking about today. When someone goes through a foreclosure, what does the bank do? They bring their accounting. Guess what? You never do. You don't bring your accounting.
Mm.
And Dee just told me today that you're not supposed to be using their forms. You're supposed to be creating your own form. And there is a process with the OMB office to create your own forms and get an OMB number on it.
Oh, you're kidding.
That's funny that you say that because I think I saw something about the Amish. They have their own OMB form or something catered to them.
And so what we're looking at is create you can claim it as your form, but you can create it because an IRS public
I had to take a snapshot.
application 901 or 908, one of those two forms, it might be in both. Okay. I'd have to ask Dee, but she was reading those, and in that, it's in one of those publications, it tells you that you're not supposed to use their form. You're supposed to create your own. Wow. So hey, are we not supposed to be reporting how much credit the trust is giving to these corporations when we go out and pay bills and give them the coupon back on top of that? Yeah. But guess what? The Treasury can't balance the books or zero out the account because why? The Treasury, how much credit these corporations are getting.
Yeah, so we're not assessing.
That's right. So we're not doing our job. Now, this is when we get back to the W-4. The principle behind the W-4 is that. But in my opinion, I don't think it's the right form. If you're going to do anything, do something similar to a 1099 NEC, non-employment compensation. And right now, I've got a cover letter I'm working on to accept the office and notify them that, hey, here's your responsibility. It's your trust. And if you're acting in good faith, they can't hold you liable for what you're doing in good faith based on the law. You want to see the $30 trillion debt drop? People need to start doing their responsible duties so the government can. Now, you know about CPNs, credit privacy numbers, right?
NEC.
Not so much about it.
Okay. Well, on the FBI website, let's see here. You have to learn to not only pay attention to what is said, but pay attention to what's not said, right? Right. Now, let's see here. Now, this right here, I want you to pay close attention to this paragraph. Credit privacy numbers are 9-digit numbers that follow the same algorithm as a Social Security account number, okay? Currently, federal law allows individuals to legally use CPNs for financial reporting and protects those individuals who do not wish to disclose their SSAN. Individuals who acquire CPNs, here's where they tell you the trick. Individuals who acquire CPNs are completely responsible for any debt they incur using this number. Now, why do they not say that for the social?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you see, if it's a trust and the trustees are the responsible parties.
Trustees are responsible party.
Those trustees are the legal owner for the property.
Okay, I'll follow that.
Okay, you follow that. Then who settles the bills for the trust? The trustees.
Oh, that's too much to learn. speaking on personal loans, as soon as I think I know something, it never stops.
Look, I purchased all his webinars just about. So yeah, I learned a lot from him. And I've actually, not trying to toot my horn, I really feel like I've surpassed him because he's stuck on certain things. The secured party creditor process. Well, now I look back on it and I've done it. Don't get me wrong, I've done the process. Yeah, I've done GSA bonds. I've done the secured party creditor process. I've done this, that, and the other. Now, CPN Online says fraud waiting to happen, but did I not just read it from the FBI website? It's legal.
Yeah, like you just read, it's like you're responsible for everything.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that about the social because why?
They are the
Because the trust,
They are
trustee,
because the liability is held by the trustee as well.
yeah, they will let you volunteer to be the liable party. It doesn't matter if it's in court. It doesn't matter if it's the freaking car loan. You know, everybody's online freaking out because Biden is trying to forgive the student loans, right? You know what I tell people? I said, little secret, you didn't know them to begin with.
Oh, so hold on. So that's why some people go to court under the Power of Appointment Act and assign people the judge and so.
No, you don't have the authority to do that. It's not your trust.
Oh,
Let me tell you a story that I did recently, and maybe it'll make sense. I went through a DOT inspection and got a ticket because my reverse light was out. Okay. That was February 21st this year. The supposed court date was March 28th. Well, March 16th, I called the clerk. And I said, ma'am, I need to speak to the court clerk. She said, well, there's three of us here. I said, well, ma'am, I need to speak to the one that manages the courthouse to make sure everything runs smoothly. She said, oh, that'll be me. I said, okay, ma'am, I need to verify your EIN because I've got a debt instrument in my possession and I need to file taxes on this document. And she says, well, yeah, you got to do that. And so I read the EIN number and she says, well, I can't verify that's what that is. You might have to talk to Barbara down at the town hall. I said, well, I'll get her number here in a moment. I said, my next question is I need to know the penal sum for this instrument. She says, well, I don't know what that is or how to get it. So I give her the instrument number. She says, are you giving me a ticket number? I said, ma'am, if you believe that's what it is, that's on you. I said, the way I see it is a instrument of value or a debt instrument, which means under 18 USC 8, it's an obligation of the United States. And she says, are you the name? She, asked about the name. And I said, ma'am, that name is owned by the United States. They are the secured party in this matter. And I'm just a registered agent. And it is my duty to notify the principal of anything that affects his interest. And she says, can you hold a minute? And she come back about 2 minutes later and says, well, that matter has been sealed and dismissed.
Wow.
And I said,
People asked the other day, it's crazy you talking about it.
now, everything I said was completely legal. Everything I said I could prove in court. I just never had to go to court. And I never filed a stitch of paper. So when I told her, I said, now, ma'am, will you please send the signed order to the address you have on file? Because why? That's the agent's office. And she said, oh, no, I can't just send that to anybody. You're going to have to verify who you are. I said, you'll have a letter in the mail next week. I made her butt pucker when she got my letter. You know how I know that? She got my letter on the 24th. She printed the order the 24th. The 24th is a Thursday from way upstate New York, probably 2 hours from the Canadian border. Okay? I live way down south. She got that letter on the 24th, and all I did was rehash the phone call and said the court has 10 days to send said order. And she printed it that day, and she was either at the post office that day or she was there Friday morning, express mail. It was at my house the day of court on the 28th.
Hmm.
My dad called me. Yeah, my dad called me when the letter come in because I told him to be on the lookout. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Send me a picture of it," and it said sealed and dismissed. They sealed the record after what I did.
Hey, Pastor, can you explain in the other line we had the other day about the certificate ordering the title?
Oh, the manufacturer certificate of origin?
Hmm.
Yes.
That's
Like,
that's your true ownership document, not the certificate of title. No, I didn't go to court. On the ticket, no, I never went to court. I never filed any stitch of paper into the courts.
So one phone call took care of everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
The government owns the name, and I give them the responsibility.
Right. The government owns the name. Oh.
What? Postal.
Come on, phone. Don't die me now. I'm listening on my phone. Okay. Well, I guess this is gonna end. All good things come to an end. I can't hear what they're saying. It's a good call though. Pastor of the Way. Rumble.com.